Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so this video features my top 3 teams for this really crazy Switch timer out of nowhere event that's going to last from March 31st to April 5th. So it's going to last for the entire week that Master League, Master Classic, and Great League is out. I personally am like in the middle about this thing, but you know, this is a very fast meta and it requires you to think really quick on your feet. Without further ado, let's get started with the battle. Alright, so this is essentially a Weather Ball heavy meta, or just spam charge moves meta. This is to run the Switch timer and or create combos and queue a ton of charge moves, and just, it's a sacking / catching charge move fest. As you see here, my first team features Pelipper, Mew, and G-Fisk. This is actually my actual team before the Switch timer was halved, but it's also very good because you have three very spammy mons, because Mew is in your team as well. Mew is probably your best spice pick in this meta, just because it can keep your opponent guessing because they don't know what moves you have. As you see here, I'm just going to gather a bunch of energy, and I'm going to go straight for the big balls play. Most people think you're baiting, so I'm going to go straight for the Hurricane against this meta champ. As you see here, Pelipper is still beastly in this meta. If you're able to Hurricane through shields, like I did there, you're able to destroy a lot of things. And I get a Bastiodon, so this is terrible. I switch out immediately because so what's gonna happen is Pelipper's gonna have to go against that Bastiodon anyways, but my opponent still has a ton of shields. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna Rock Slide down my opponent's shields. As you see here, we got Tropius on G-Fisk. G-Fisk is still really good in this meta just because of like Obama Snow and other ice weather ballers like Ninetales or A9, so then you're gonna have G-Fisk is still really good and it's really tanky. Rock Slide also allows you to run the clock, as you see here, and I try to switch and catch my opponent with a Weather Ball, and it doesn't really work. So, as long as I can get G-Fisk on this Bastiodon, I win, or as long as I just chip away at this Bastiodon shields. As you see, this Weather Ball meta really makes tanks kind of really slow, just because you can switch out so often. But in the end, honestly, it's not that bad because you're going to realign. But you'll see shortly, I think later in this battle, how this Switch timer really allows you to kind of finesse your opponent. As you see here, I'm able to get a move off. Okay, so this actually isn't an Earthquake, but my opponent, because it's been so fast-paced, I don't think my opponent's counting. So I fire the Rock Slide, and of course, I do get a shield. Because essentially, if they don't shield this Earthquake, it's pretty much GG's. So I'm going to shield this. And then I'm going to switch out again. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna stay in here. Watch what happens. So I'm gonna switch out shortly. So, as you see, my opponent is going to Leap Blade me, but I will switch into Mew. So this is just a realignment fest. Realignment is basically just like switching switching consistently and just realigning your Pokemon to match up against each other. As you see, I'm gonna get a Rock Slide off, but this is why G-Fisk is so good, because it only takes 2 charge moves to really run the clock, so G-Fisk can get you there pretty quickly, along with like every Weather Baller. I'm gonna send in Mew, and one Flame Charge should yeet this Tropius to oblivion, or they're going to send in their Bastiodon, and I'm going to be able to fire it. I'm going to be able to fire Flame Charge at that thing. So my opponent doesn't know what Mew set I have, so this is really good. As you see, my opponent does send in Bastiodon. I fire my Flame Charge, but I don't know if this actually KOs. But this is why Mew is so good, because your opponent doesn't really know what you have. And because Mew can have spammy moves, you could give it things like Wild Charge or Surf, and just spam the Unholy Hell at your opponent. As you see, I switch out and try to catch a move because I do it right because my Shadow Claw wasn't going to kill. This is another advantage of the Switch Climber being low. You can catch moves like this, and I do catch. So I catch this, all I have to do is just get a Rock Slide on this wall. Actually, I don't even think Rock Slide kills at this range. I think it kills in the red, but not in the yellow against Tropius. But I'm pretty comfortable here. All I really have to do is send in Mew and just Shadow Claw down. It should be GG's. But as you see here, having the Switch Timer, it allows you to queue moves. It allows you to catch stuff like I did with G-Fist on that Stone Edge. And it just allows you to, like, realign. It just makes the game, like, probably 2 times faster, or just extremely spammy. This entire meta is extremely spammy, so you want really high pressure charge moves. Like, of course, the best ones here are going to be Weather Ballers, or like I said, you can use Mew and use Mew with like Wild Charge, Surf, or even Flame Charge Grass Knot like I'm doing here. So I would have Wild Charge, but I'm not willing to. But like, Grass Knot's still great coverage, so there's still a lot of coverage that Mew set uses. So that's GG's. And now for the second team, I have Politoed. You're gonna see a lot of Politoed leads. As you see here, I got Politoed on this A9. So all I'm gonna do is just Weather Ball it to death. If it is a Charm A9, you win just straight Weather Ball. Just make sure you fire your charge moves correctly so they don't get any charms through your charge moves. Because I think if they get 2 through your Weather Balls, I think they can flip this match, or even in 1, just because of charms damage. Politoed is the premier pick for this week of half switch time, just because it only takes 4 mud shots to get to a Weather Ball. Along with that, Politoed does have Blizzard, it also has Earthquake, so you have a choice of really good coverage. It's the fastest thing in the game right now, and Weather Ball does a lot of damage because it has a very high base damage output, so it's very powerful. You'll see a lot of Politoed leads, just because, and it allows you to run the clock really well too. So Politoed will let you run the clock really fast, whether you need to switch out or whether you need to stay in. As you see here, I switch out, I farm down my opponent's Ninetales, and my opponent has a Politoed. Remember, I told you Politoed's going to be insanely popular. It's very good in either the back or as a lead, just because you're going to see a lot of how the half switch timer, and then you have Weather Ball on Weather Ball action here. It's going to be really interesting. As you know, I am crazy, so I will Hurricane through shields because I can probably bank my opponent's gonna bait. I also have shield advantage. So, as you see here, they don't shield, because since I have shield advantage, my opponent wants to preserve their shield as much as they can. Usually what you'll do is you'll bait and then you'll fire, but you know what? Firing through shields like this is a very advanced, I'm just really confident in my playability. My opponent does switch out. As you say, they switch to Obstagoon. This is where the big switch timer does it like... Normally, my opponent would have been able to switch, but because it's halved, they can. And we got Obstagoon on my Ninetales. Obstagoon's also a great pick in this meta, just because it only takes 5 counters to get your Night Slash or Cross Chop. So it's very quick. The only issue is if you get... if A9 is also very powerful, and I would say would be really popular in Weather Ball meta. Since really popular in the Weather Ball meta. Because, as you see here, I'm resisting Night Slashes just because of the Fairy subtyping. So the 3 Weather Ballers are the 3 main Weather Ballers in my opinion, which would be Politoed, A9, and Pelipper is very powerful. You can also use Obama Snow. Obama Snow would do great as well. Basically, Obama Snow would do bait as well. Any of the Weather Ballers would do absolutely fantastic in this meta. As you see here, we switch quickly, and because of, remember I talked to you about being really, really fast, I was expecting my opponent to switch to catch a Powder Snow, and I already had my Weather Ball queued, so I was already ready for it. I should be able to live 1 Night Slash. My opponent's only win con was to basically catch a move, but I still have Politoed to sack if I wanted to. So I still had multiple win conditions just because the timer is halved. Another thing you can do here is like what I did here. When you switch in, you can wait the clock out, the switch timer out, and by the time you are out, it's only going to take you 1 charge move to be able to switch again. Again, you just have to be really, really fast. You can queue up moves for combos like I did here, but make sure you are really aware, like I did with that Pelipper on that Politoed, so that you can make sure your opponent doesn't outpace you. And that's GG's. But as I said here, Weather Ballers are extremely powerful. This is the triple Weather Ball team, and it does really, really well. Pelipper is going to be your safe switch, Politoed lead, and A9 in the back. Or you can switch A9 and Politoed, and just use A9 in the lead instead. My final team features Venusaur in the lead, followed by, this is basically just like a kind of the 5th most common team if you saw my PV poke analysis. However, you lead with Venusaur. Venusaur lead going to be really good because you can catch Politoads. You can catch Politoads, which is a really popular from my scene, and you can catch other water types. So, and with Pelipper, Safe Switch, and G-Fisk in the back, this is a really powerful team. So, common team number 5, if you've been using this one, it's really, really good. Except I lead with Venusaur just to catch water types in the lead like I did like that. And if you catch Politoed, it's freaking great. Just be careful of getting blizzarded. As you see here, like I mentioned, you just have to, with this new meta, realignment is important. G-Fisk is powerful just because it's able to get the Rock Slide quickly. And I tried to catch Body Slam like you see here, but I failed. I knew my opponent was going to go straight for a Bulldoze, but I don't shield. My opponent is already down a shield. I already have, my Venusaur beats this, and I beat their Jellicent. So the only concern is what they have in the back. But as you see here, Venusaur is still very powerful for the sheer reason it's able to beat Politoed. It also has Sludge Bomb, so you can take out a Abomasnow if you happen to go against this. Sludge Bomb also takes out a 9. So there's a lot of coverage with Venusaur. Fighters are still very popular in this meta, so you'll see fighters in this weather. I've seen Medicham XL a lot. So Venusaur will give you will be able to resist those counters because it has that poison typing and do very well. And this is probably the third Hurricane you're going to see through shield, so it's going to be insanely nuts. But as you see here, when you're up shield advantage, here's what happens. You're able to Hurricane through shield. Well, actually, my opponent doesn't have shields in general. So I have 2-0. This is pretty much like all I have to do is maintain energy, and I'm pretty comfortable here. I will shield because I know this is a Shadow Ball. My opponent has to essentially like kill one of my Pokemon with a big nuke move, and I'm just going to fire Weather Ball right away. You can use Weather Ball. Again, Weather Ball is so good in this meta just because you want to run a clock, and you can catch and sack accordingly. As you see here, I will take out this Jellicent. Vigorot's also a really good pick because Body Slam is very spammy, only takes 5. However, with other fighters out there, if you have Medicham XL, it's probably a better choice. Medicham XL is really popular because you can still spam with Power Up Punch, of course, or Ice Punch. You can even have Psychic if you want to. But fighters are still really good in this meta. But definitely the kings of this meta are the Weather Ballers. So Weather Ball, Weather Ball, Weather Ball. You'll see a lot of Weather Ball. And like I said, this team does really well because usually what's in the lead is Politoed or a fighter. So Venusaur is a great lead. I hope you enjoyed these battles. Again, all I have to do is Frenzy Plant here and then just farm down and that's GG's. But as you see, Weather Ball, Weather Ball, Weather Ball, or you can use G-Fist, Rock Slide, Rock Slide, Rock Slide. And this team, like I said, with Venusaur in the lead is really good. I hope you guys enjoyed those battles. Again, these teams will do really well for you. Again, this is a really spammy fast charge move meta. It's very fast, so if you aren't used to like thinking really fast or like catching your opponent, etc., this is a great way to practice if you're new. If you're already like used to if you already played Go Battle, if you already made Legend before, if you made 3000 Elo, this may or may not be annoying to you because this is just out of the blue. So again, you just have to be really fast. If you've been playing for a while, you're probably used to this. You might be a little annoyed that the meta is just literally Weather Ball, Weather Ball, Weather Ball, or just fast spammy charge moves, and it was just put out of nowhere. Or if you're new to the game, this is a perfect time for you to practice your sacking and catching because you can do it. Like I said, after 2 charge moves, your switch clock is usually up, so that means you can get a lot of reps in, so you can practice your sack swaps, and you can practice catching charge moves. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully these teams do help you out. Again, if you don't like these teams, the cores will work. Weather Ball is still really good. Triple Weather Ball is really good. There's a ton of teams with Weather Ball that could do good, but for me, these are my 3 best ones, just because, like I said, I covered all the bases on the video, on the shoutcast, so I like these teams a lot. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, please like and subscribe. I'll do more content on the meta later, but I'm gonna see what I can do for like analysis. Good luck at Go Battle sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.
Ciao!